How was that sail?
Pretty good. Come to ski at like 7 in the morning, and it's I think like 2 now. And we're right about to get to Cat Island, and it was pretty calm. Didn't catch any fish, but went pretty fast.
We were close hauled for most of the sail in like 15 knots of wind for a good chunk of it, and then right before we got onto the little bank area before Cat Key, it calmed down. We're just trying to get as far south on Cat as we could, but we didn't make it that far south. We're like right in the middle, pretty much. More on the north side, but whatever. We'll be protected here. It's supposed to be really calm conditions for a few days and light wind, and then it's supposed to pick up just a little bit from the east, just enough to be able to sail. So we'll use that east wind to sail south along Cat, and then our next stop from there, I don't know. But I think we'll do some diving for a few days while it's calm. Finally get to spear some fish again and get some conch. We still haven't got any conch. Oh, here's the camera. Sorry guys, we forgot to bring you. Sarah just went for a little swim and found some dinner. Woo! And then we did a super long and hard workout on the beach. That sucked. And now we're gonna clean the conch and have some conch salad for the second time on this trip, but the first time that we're making it. How is it?
So yummy. A lot of work to clean, but it's delicious.
I'm pretty sure conch salad is really healthy too, because all it is like conch, which is pure protein. All they eat is like seagrass, right? And then like lemon juice, lime juice, orange juice, a little bit of garlic salt, and green bell peppers, and onions.
That's all we had. You can also do tomato.
And I think they did cucumber the last place we had it, so we gotta try cucumber next time. Really good, really healthy.
Whoa, that's a squid?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. That thing is huge. What? That's crazy, you got one! That was so cool. That was sick. He's trying to get all these little minnows right here.
So today we are on the northern end of Cat Island, and we plan to go to the southern tip of the island. And we realized we've never actually showed you what in detail it takes to sail our boat, so that's what we're going to show you today. All the ins and outs of getting her ready to sail.
And today is the perfect day to not even start the engines, just sail right up from the anchor, because we only have one other boat around us and we're on the offshore side of the land. So if anything happens, we just get blown back into deeper water. Perfect scenario to practice sailing off anchor.
Here we go. So what is the first thing we have to do in order to get ready to go?
The first thing we have to do is make some coffee.
First thing we have to do is raise the dinghy, put it on the deck.
The iPad.
Oh, other first thing. We connect this bad boy up here and figure out where we're gonna go. So we are up north here in this little anchorage, and we're gonna go all the way down. It's an east wind, so we're gonna go down here and either anchor here or in here. If we have plenty of time, we'll even go around here, but I doubt we'll have time. So that's our point for now. 24 miles.
This is another first thing we have to do, put on sunblock, so that when we're sailing we don't have to think about how we're getting burnt when things are like going wrong and we have to take care of sails and stuff like that, we're just protected. I'm just securing the dinghy nice and tight up here. If we were like going in rough conditions or open ocean or anything like that, we'd secure it way more. I don't know if this is the proper knot for this or not, but it works.
We just make it up as it goes. Look secure?
Yep.
Next, we normally turn on the depth and the autopilot, and if it were night, all the lights and any other things that we got to do on this panel. Engine instruments, which is depth, autopilot, which is autopilot. Next is the sail and the anchor. Billy normally does the anchor. He's gonna get it up most of the way, and I'm gonna do the sail, and as soon as the sail's up and ready to go, he'll get the last bit of the anchor, and then we can be true seamen and sail off anchor. Whatnot.
We're just taking our bridle off. Just use these little soft shackles to attach it to the chain. This 3-strand line helps absorb any jolt we might have from the anchor chain, and also gives it a triangular point to the anchor chain so that the boat doesn't sail too much in the wind. That's why we have it on there.
So we have a line coming from this side, attached, line coming from this side, attached, and we stay straight. So I'm not sure if you guys noticed or not, but we do not have electronic windlass. We have a manual windlass, and even that recently broke. So now we just have Billy's strength, and he likes to work out.
It's a good workout. You can really hurt your back if you don't pull the right way, but I know how to pull it without hurting my back. That's just keeping your hips tucked in and using your legs and your core, and not pulling with your back like that, like a old boy.
Which I tried to do.
So the anchor's almost all the way up, but still holding. Sierra's gonna hoist the mainsail.
First we have to undo the laser jacks all the way up front,
so the battens don't get caught up in them when you raise it. And the main sheet is loose. And we just have these little lines that are securing the lazy jacks for right now.
Now that we have our new sail cover, all we have to do is unzip it. Now we're gonna attach our halyard. So it's definitely a workout. That one was a little bit more difficult than it could have been because we weren't straight into the wind, making it harder to raise the sail.
So while Sierra was finishing hoisting the mainsail, I was kind of a little early getting the anchor up, and I just came back down here. Oh, actually I helped her get the rest of the mainsail up, and then I just came back down here and our bow fell off the wind exactly the direction we wanted to go, so we just loosened the main sheet to allow the bow to fall off even more. And now we're underway. We're just going downwind for a bit before we turn to port.
Because we have to get over a reef, right?
Yeah, like a shallow sandbank or whatever. We're a little too downwind to even pull the genoa out, so we'll just wait until we start to turn and then we'll pull the genoa out. And that's it. We didn't even start the engines once and we're already sailing.
High five. These were neighbors.
Beautiful boat. Thank you. You guys too. That thing is cool.
Hey, they have the same paddle boards as us. Those are our friend John's boards.
Alright, so we're just almost around this bar and the wind's coming off of our beam now, so we're gonna get the genoa out. I'm just gonna put the wheel on autopilot with this little clutch here so that I have both hands free to help Sierra do the genoa.
You let out the furling line and I sheathed it in.
So I uncleated the furling line and unclamped the other sheet. And now we're moving. Look at that. Woo!
So if you're watching this and you're like, this is crazy, that's a lot of work, it doesn't have to be. Our boat is kind of made for 2 people, but there's definitely ways to make it so you can do it alone.
Like I changed a lot of stuff, but always with the idea in mind that we're gonna have 2 people. I mean, I could sail this boat by myself.
It'd be difficult for me because a lot of it requires a little bit extra strength.
Yeah, and it's totally possible. Even with this boat, you can take this boat and you can rig it to make it easy for one person to handle.
Put electric winches, make everything run back to the cockpit so you don't have to run around the boat. There's like tons of different ways you could do it. So don't be discouraged if you thought that looked like a lot of work. As you can see, our dagger boards are not down. So Billy, why aren't we using dagger boards, and when do we use dagger boards?
We have the dagger boards a little bit down below the hull for a little bit of leeward resistance. We're not quite close hauled into the wind yet. That's when we really need the dagger boards, when we're trying to sail into the wind as much as possible so that as we're driving forward, the dagger boards resist the wind pushing our boat sideways. On this boat, they help, but I don't think they help as much as they might on other boats. The real limiting factor on this boat to go to windward, I found, is just the sheeting angle of the Genoa. If we had like a 100% jib with the sheets led closer to the mast, we'd be able to sheet it harder and be able to go at a steeper angle into the wind. And then if that were the case, the dagger boards would have much more of an effect, I think. But they still help us, so we're just kind of tacking out to deep water so we can fish a little bit on our way south along the island. So we're still on close reach. And as soon as we shift another 10-20 degrees, we'll be close hauled. And that's when we'll put the dagger boards all the way down.
Why are we in reverse?
Last year we installed feathering propellers. As soon as we put our throttles in reverse, it locks our engine shafts from moving, and as soon as they get locked, our propeller blades automatically feather directly into the water, so it's much less drag underwater and we can go a little bit faster, which is awesome. And say you have fixed props, there's a debate on whether you let them spin or lock them anyway. People say to do both. People say let them spin, but people also say lock them, otherwise the spinning will cause undue wear on the components of the engine, and the cutlass bearing and stuff like that. And I've also heard, in terms of drag, both points of view. They say if you lock them in reverse, you just have this fixed prop just plowing through the water creating drag, but if you let them spin, you have this whole propeller profile that's creating drag through the water. So I've heard that that's actually more resistance if you let it spin. There's not really a definitive point there, except that you could do either with fixed props as well.
We have learned that no matter how calm of a sail you think you're going to have, there's always a chance of a wave coming in. So if you don't want your bed to get soaked, then lock all your hatches.
Probably want it off a little bit.
So, how can you tell that you want to sheet out?
Well, for boat speed slows, that's kind of one sign that something needs to be adjusted. You can really hear, you don't have to be constantly looking at the GPS. You can hear and feel it slow down. So then I just take a look at it, mostly the telltales and the Windex at the top of the mast. And I just want to make sure the telltales are mostly streaming back on both sides of the sail.
And these little red, little confetti looking lines, those are the telltales. Right now they're kind of flopping down, but we want them like that. When do you want to reef on our boat?
Well, we reef right around 15 knots of wind. Usually the mainsail first, just because the Genoa reefed, even though it's got padded reef something in it, it still makes a really ugly shape and we have to adjust the leads and stuff. And generally we get a little more weather helm, so if we reef the main first, we can reduce that weather helm a little bit.
So we have 3 reefs.
3 reef points in the main, yeah. We've only really used the first two.
So reef number 1, you'd say what, anything over 15?
Yeah, right around 15 knots we go to that first reef point, and then approaching 18 to 20 knots, probably around 20 knots, we do that second reef point. And then if it were over like 25 or 30 knots, we'd probably go to that third reef point.
Reel sounds a little rough. We got a fish on! Come on, be a tuna. I bet it's a little tuna. Or a little amberjack.
Really nice shot.
Well, our reel has hit the dust, but we'll just hand line it in the rest of the way.
It's a cuda.
Is it really? Bummer. A lot of the Bahamians like barracuda, but they have a higher chance of ciguatera, so we don't like that. Ah, you just had to bleed on your way out. Okay guys, it's the next day here, headed farther south on Cat Island, and realized we didn't show you how we tack on our boat, so now we're gonna do that.
Alright, so because we have these running backstays, I tightened up the leeward backstay and it's rubbing against the sail for a few seconds right before we tack, and then as soon as we tack over and the mainsail is back on this side, I'm gonna loosen up this backstay. Now, as we're tacking, as soon as the Genoa gets backwinded, Sierra's gonna release this sheet completely, and I'm gonna pull it in all the way on this side, and then hopefully our bow came all the way across the wind and we're on our new tack, and it went smooth. The main is pretty much centered on the boat right now. When we tack over, it'll be slightly to leeward, so I'll just pull the Traveler up a bit on the other side after our new tack. I'll probably bear off just like 5-10 degrees, make sure our speed is up nice and fast, and then do that right before we tack as well. So here we go. So speed up. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Go ahead. And there we go.
We've done smoothly.
Sierra just took the mainsail down and we're coming through this narrow little cut on the south side of Cat Key by Bailey Town. But there's this little cut and this really, really shallow reef on both sides, and then a big bay that we can anchor in, which seems like it's protected from pretty much all directions. Here it is on the chart. Now I'm gonna go back and focus and make sure we don't hit anything. What you see, Jetty girl? You see land? And we're in. Pretty straightforward. It's like 3 o'clock, so we still have plenty of light out to be able to see that entrance. Seems like a really cool spot over here.